to his dad, and there's nothing to it. He said somebody hacking their account. So that's what we were told. So
Everything's good.
everything out there is good. Hadn't talked to the kid, but the dad knows what's going on. He was surprised about it too. We had to tell him about it. So we don't see no problems because he signed, number one.
Right, just type of age we live in. Where
That's right. Because I saw the tweet, whoever went out, said decommitted. Well, he signed, so you can't decommit. So you guys know that world better than I do, how you hack things and all that. I don't know. But, his dad says there was no concern. So.
Damari didn't play against UNLV. What was the reason behind that?
Basically the way he played against Washington. We give TJ those minutes out there at the point guard spot, and we need all those bodies, number one. But it's very obvious against Washington. Damari just didn't play very well. That's about as nice as you can put it. Sped him up way too much, and just wasn't effective. And again, we got to find some way, whoever plays those minutes there, that can help us and add to some. There's not a lot of choices, so we still need Damari to help us somehow, some way.
TJ got a little bit more time in that game. What do you see?
Well, TJ we backed him at the one and thought he did a good job. We played a lot of zones, so defensively he was pretty good for a young guy. And again, whoever plays those minutes, we need them all to play those minutes to rest Junior there some. But we're going to play TJ there in those backup minutes at point guard right now.
Despite the results, do you think they got better at all out there?
Well, the results are, I thought the second night we bounced back. We get off to a bad start, 10-0, but after that, we basically outscored them, 12 points the last 15 minutes of the first half to go up 2. When you're on the road, it's a fine line. Under 4 minutes to go, it's a 2-point game. And we had 3, kind of miscued passes. To 1, 2, all 3 almost to Justin. And you just can't have those. And he's basically kind of wide open on all of them along that baseline. And again, it don't take but one possession. It all gets magnified at the end of the game too. But when you're in those close games, you can't have those kinds of miscues, and we had way too many of them.
Have you been to Eastern football?
Back in the OVC days, back in the early '80s. So I just now, somebody was telling me last night, I think Western's been up there only a couple times in the last, how many years?
07 was the last time they were there.
When before that?
90-something, I think.
So I hadn't been up there much. So, we know it'll be a, Super Bowl game for them, big game for them, but it's a big game for us because it's our next one. And, nothing's easy on the road. Eastern's got a really good team. They led Auburn at Auburn first 30 minutes of the game. Had Texas Tech down at Texas Tech, down 14 points at Texas Tech. Came back and got beat 17 or 18. But they're a really good team. Got that big kid on the middle, I guess was the freshman of the year last year in the OVC. Give him up east somewhere. He shoots the 3, plays off the bounce, can post up. He's a mismatch problem for a lot of people. So they got the kid back, I guess. They hit the 6 threes here last year. Harrison. They got a freshman point guard from up east somewhere that's Guy's kid that's really played well. They're a team that can score baskets. They spread you out and they score a lot of different ways at post open because that big guy's ability.
Pretty offensive-minded team, I guess.
Real offensive-minded team. Defensively they're going to change things probably to mask a little bit who they are. They're going to press you some. They're going to zone press you some. They're going to zone you some, man you some. So, but they got a lot of guys who can score at basketball and can shoot it.
How are you guys doing? Pretty positive still on the field?
Yeah, hey, listen, you guys know this. We're on a long stretch of tough games. It's not easy going on the road nowhere, And particularly when you're trying to, get better, you're trying to gain some confidence. It's not an easy place to do it on the road. Even though, like I said, I thought there were some positive things against Vegas. But sometimes that outcome, you don't always show that, even with your kids. But we got to find some silver linings, and we got to keep finding ways to get better. Like I say, as we watched that film yesterday, you can look at those 3 possessions under 4 minutes to go. You just can't have it. And, Vegas jumped up and made some huge shots, too. They jumped up and made 2 contested threes on Q Johnson over in that corner that were really contested. So, fine line. Never easy going on the road. Playing against a very good Eastern Kentucky team. So, we'll have a work cut out for us.
Anton's getting you on a good minutes the last few games, isn't he?
Anton's give us some toughness off that bench. Ben, the last game picked up 2 fouls the first 2.5 minutes of the game. Well, it's very obvious we don't have that kind of depth to be having Ben sit over there and watch the whole first half neither. But it opened up an opportunity for Anton to get more minutes. And no question, he brings some toughness. He brings some more physicalness around that paint area. A guy that seems to finish in around that hole pretty good. But the biggest thing gives you some toughness, and I can live with that.
What do you see about Missouri?
I hadn't seen much about him yet. Total focus has been on, Eastern since we got back from Vegas. But saw him play earlier in the year. Saw him should have beat Xavier team. I thought they're a whole lot better than they were from last year, just watching them on a couple games, not studying them. I know they got a kid out of Ohio, that Frankie Hughes kid, that's really been good for them. Can really shoot the ball, and Phillips back at the point guard. So they've been a good team. I know they lost at home last night, but that's a pretty good team they lost to. Name don't sound good, North Carolina Central, but they're a good team. If you don't show up and play every night, that's what happens. And evidently, they were probably overlooking them a little bit, didn't show up and play their best, and they got beat. So, that can be bad too. We're the next opponent. So they got all week to prepare for us.
What does Junior have to do to keep improving?
Yeah. Naturally, probably every game he plays, he'll learn something from it because that's more experience under his belt. There's no substitute for experience for him. For a guy playing point guard position first time, it's not easy. And I think he's realized that now. It's just not easy for him. But he's handled it in a positive way. There's a lot of things we'd like to see him do better. But like I've said many a time, when he makes a mistake, it's going to be an honest mistake. He's trying to do right, and he's trying to get it right. He's a professional. He tries to be perfect whatever he tries to do, and he lets mistakes bother him sometimes. But, like I say, we like to be able to get some point guard play so we can rest him off that point guard some, get him over at some other positions. It's like taking handcuffs off of him. You get him off that point when you get a different kind of guy guarding him. We've done it in practice some, and we want to do it some in the future. We weren't able to do it out there in Vegas just from a foul trouble standpoint, but that's something in the future we keep playing. We want to be able to do that some.
You mentioned having TJ in at the point, front of the point. How do you feel with him trying to get rotation?
It'll be some learning curve with him, but I think he gives you some quickness out there. Gives you a little more quickness. No question, he's gotten better defensively from where he was 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. Still has to get better, but like his quickness, a guy that gives you a little bit more burst of speed out there some. I think as he continues to get more comfortable, seems to be a guy that can jump up and make a shot some. Gives you a threat out there. So, like I say, we need them all to play. We got, we can't eliminate none of them. We need Marty to be able to help us still. We need Marty to continue to come on for us. I thought Marty gave us some pretty good minutes against Vegas. And still, again, I think Q played 39 minutes and Cake played 38 minutes. It's just a bunch of minutes. And I've said this many a time, I'll keep saying it, those kind of minutes leads to physical and mental mistakes, both offensively and defensively. Us playing a lot of zone out there probably masked that a little bit. Those kind of minutes that helped us some, but still it's way too many minutes. Yes, sir.
Rick, you got asked earlier here, just overall how you think the team is improving. I wanted to ask you specifically defensively, and you always emphasize defense. Do you see some strides taking place?
You know, I can see huge leaps from 8 weeks ago. Are we where we need to be? No. Can we take that point guard and control that bounce the way we want to control it consistently? It's a challenge for us. And again, as I just said, I think playing so many minutes leads to more mistakes, and I got to keep finding ways to rest that bench. But you guys know, it don't take but a couple possessions on the road to separate yourself. And it's a little bit harder sometimes, you know, to throw guys in and hope they do right versus knowing you're going to throw them in and trust them to do right. And that's kind of where we're at with that bench a little bit. You know, we hope they do right. We hope they add too. But we're not at that point yet that we feel like that happens all the time.
Coach, is there any timetable or comment that you have about Willie Carmichael's return to this team?
No comment. No comment.
Anything else?